Have you gone to cut leather and noticed this? Veg tan leather can be a little bit difficult to cut. So my favorite tooling leather is Herman Oak veg tan leather. It's by far the best to tool on, but what makes it really nice is that really tight grain to it, which sometimes can make that hard to cut. In this video, I want to go through and show you how I'm going to transfer this design onto this piece of leather and not only just cut our straight lines out, but how do I get that scallop cut in there? We're going to show you how to do it easily, efficiently. Let's be accurate with our cuts and not wear your body out trying to cut it. So let's head to the table and I'll show you how I do this. The first thing I've done is prep this pattern, and I printed this off on paper, which a lot of you guys I'm sure are printing patterns out. And the next thing I did is I just took clear packing tape and I covered that front and back, and that's going to protect our pattern. Now this particular pattern has the one straight edge down here and the scalloped off the one edge. So I'm going to use my straight edge here. Anytime we're cutting a straight line, we want to use that straight edge. That's going to help cut things. Now my go-to knife in the shop here is this box cutter, just a plain old box cutter. But as we do that, we're staying next to my hand, so I'm moving that hand down so things don't want to shift on me. Now that was just cutting our paper pattern, but I want to take advantage of that straight edge and make sure I have a good straight edge off of this piece of leather too. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut that nice straight edge on here. And again, I keep my knife straight up and down. I don't cut past my fingers, because then there's not pressure on that ruler. So it's way more important that I keep that knife straight up and down and that I stay in line than it is that I make that cut all in one pass. So it's okay for me to come back and cut again. I don't have to get through all the way the first time. A lot of times I see people trying so hard to get through that leather the first time that they get off of their line, or will be trying so hard to push and it shoves that that straight edge out of the way. So again, getting them off of their line as well. Right. Now that we have that cut, we have a straight edge on our pattern and a straight edge on our leather, so we can use that together. I'm going to get the back of this prepped and ready because this is a piece that we're going to be tooling. So I'm just going to start right now and tape the back of this. If you find tips and tricks like this helpful and want to continue growing with your leatherwork, I want to invite you to join our community group, the Leather Life Classroom. There's a link down below. I look forward to seeing you there. Now for transferring this pattern, we could cut our pattern out and then transfer from the edge of that, or we're just going to skip right ahead here and we're going to wet our leather down. Now wetting this is going to do two things. One, it's going to make it easy to transfer this pattern, and two, it's going to make it easier to cut. Wet leather will cut easier than dry leather will. But it's also good that we tape the back of that first, because wet leather can stretch a little bit and we don't want any stretch out of this. We want it to be just the right size here. So now with that leather dampened down, and that was just plain water in that dish there. It's a little dirty because we've been using it a bit, but it's still just plain water. I'm just going to slide down here, making sure I'm clear of any blemishes on that leather that I'm not wanting to tool through. And that's going to leave us a bit of leather here that we can still use for another project. We don't want to waste any of this leather. But with that held in place, we'll mark our outside edge and we'll get that scallop marked. Now at this point, if you wanted to, you could be transferring that whole tooling design at the same time while this leather's wet down. For the sake of this video, I'll wait and transfer that at another time, I can show you on one little piece of this how that's going to transfer, but I won't take the whole time to transfer everything. Just putting a little bit of pressure down. Again, this is with the end of this stylus. So now we can see how that transfers our lines really nice for our tooling, but also for this outside edge. Again, I wasn't trying to trace up next to a piece of paper. Not that you can't do that, but this gets a lot of things done at one time here. Now, for cutting this out, we want to do a couple things. We'll use our straight edge out where our straight lines are. Again, if we're cutting a straight line, use a straight edge. That's going to just assure that you have nice, crisp lines cut in there. Set this piece aside. That's a nice big piece that can get reused. Now for our scallops, here's where we get into a couple of the tricks for cutting. I'm going to come in with a little round punch. This is just a little 1/8 inch punch here, but I want to come down in these corners because I don't want to worry about cutting into those corners or even trying to match two cuts coming away. We want a nice clean corner there. So I'm going to bring this punch down, and we're going to put it right down at the base of that corner there, at that point. Now you can see these lines are going to be coming to the inside of that circle. Again, it's a small punch, and we want to get nice clean corners here. So rather than just cutting straight from out here, I'm going to bring that knife and come right off the edge of that punch here, keeping that knife straight up and down. Not worrying about trying to get through that all the way right off the bat. I'm going to reach over here too. That knife's dragging just a little bit, so I have a strop here. This is jeweler's rouge or a buffing compound on the back of a piece of leather, so I can strop this knife a little bit. Even though this is a changeable blade, it's one that can get thrown away and start again with a fresh blade. Just polishing that will get more life out of our blades as well. Save the best we can there. And again, that leather being wet down a little bit cuts easier. So now we're going to come to this side of that circle and bring this line out. Here I just overcut that. That's going to get us that nice clean edge. There we go. That piece is all ready to go now. We can put our pattern back in place, finish transferring those lines, and go right on tooling that. Our back's already taped and it's wet down, so it's set to go.